there's a lot of different things going on the internet out there of like, oh, this diet's good, that diet's good. So let's dive into some good dieting practices to monitor your blood sugar control. Now, when we talk about blood sugar, one of the first things that people usually reference and think of is this term glycemic index. It gets thrown around a lot. So let's talk about glycemic index. Glycemic index simply means how much one food spikes your blood sugar. How much one food spikes your blood sugar. It isn't a meal, it's literally one food, okay? So this measurement is simply given in a value of a whole number. So if we look down on the list here, we can see a potato has a 78. That's actually a pretty high glycemic index. Pineapple, a little bit less at 59. And an apple is 36. So all of those are considered what I would consider, whole healthy foods. But all of them have a very large array of ways that it actually messes with your blood sugar. So that potato is spiking your blood sugar quite a bit more than if you just ate an apple. And of course, when you do this, it is just from that specific food. This is not if you eat a potato with steak. That's going to change your blood sugar levels tremendously. That's not if you eat a pineapple in a smoothie. That's going to change your blood sugar levels tremendously. This is just from one simple food, only eating the food together. Now, when it comes to making healthy decisions, I just want you to realize that glycemic index isn't everything. Simply meaning that the lower the glycemic index, the better the food is, just in general. So if you think about ice cream, for example, ice cream has a glycemic index of 51, okay? So kind of a moderate range of glycemic index. Instant oatmeal, so a little bit more processed than whole rolled oats, but instant oats or quick oats has a blood sugar spiking capability or a glycemic index of 78. So much higher of a glycemic index than ice cream. I would never recommend somebody who's diabetic though or trying to monitor their blood sugar to eat ice cream over oatmeal. You might just simply need to do what we're going to talk about in this next section is layer in some of those carbs with different things, because if you are eating ice cream, there's not only carbs in it and sugar, there's also fat in it. And when you combine macronutrients like that, that will lower the overall blood sugar spike on your body. So this idea of naked carbs will greatly spike your blood sugar. So just eating bread is going to spike your blood sugar a lot more than if you eat a sandwich that has some vegetables on it, which have fiber and will lower your blood sugar or stabilize your blood sugar, and also has some protein, which will help to stabilize that blood sugar a little bit more. So eating stuff together will actually help to keep your blood sugar a little more in check. So make sure if you are somebody who's diabetic that maybe you are trying to eat less carbs that are quote unquote naked and trying to find ways to pair them with food. Also too, you got to keep in mind carbs that have no fiber attached to them are going to spike your blood sugar quite a bit more, because that fiber naturally slows the digestive process. And when you slow your digestive process, of course, it's going to lead you to not spiking your blood sugar quite as much, simply because your body can't utilize it as quickly. It doesn't get into your body as quickly. It doesn't get absorbed as quickly. And that's a great reason to have stuff that's high in fiber. So orange juice, for example, has basically all the same nutrients as an orange, but there's literally zero fiber in it. So that orange, when you eat the orange, it does have a little bit of fiber. That's going to lower your blood sugar and keep it a little more stable than that orange juice. This is why orange juice, and I guess specifically when we're talking about liquid calories, soda is so bad for you, because literally the second you consume that, it spikes your blood sugar right away. It spikes it almost immediately, and you're essentially getting zero nutrients from it other than the calories. So not good for weight loss, not good for keeping your blood sugar levels healthy. Now, just some general guidelines that would probably be good for you if you are trying to find the best diet for yourself. Eating smaller meals. The smaller the meal is, the less spike of a blood sugar it's going to have on you. I would try to eat lower carb in general when you are not exercising. When you are exercising, your body is able to take those carbs and utilize it as energy and fuel pretty readily and pretty quickly. But when you are not exercising, especially if you are somebody who's diabetic, it might be a little bit more advantageous for you to stick to just lower carb options because you don't have to worry about that blood sugar spike quite as much. But if you are going to eat some foods that are higher in carb, just try to eat them together with something that maybe has a little bit of fat and ideally a little bit of protein. That's going to help to monitor and lower that blood sugar as well. When it comes to actually drinks and having treats, I would recommend sticking to some sugar-free options, sugar-free juices, sugar-free Gatorades, for example, diet sodas. Those are all good options for somebody who's trying to keep their blood sugar levels in check and not have them consistently spiking up and down throughout the day. Higher fiber foods are incredibly potent at lowering and keeping your blood sugar in check. So fruits and vegetables, of course. There's some cereals and whole grains that are also very high in fiber. You can get in some beans. So black beans, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, all those beans are very high in fiber. And even though they are high in carbs, they're high in fiber. They're also high in protein as well. So they will not spike your blood sugar nearly as much as, again, let's say you're just, drinking or chugging a bunch of orange juice. That's going to spike your blood sugar tremendously. Another great hack that you can use is to really take advantage of all the lower carb options and treats that are out there nowadays. So there are pancakes and cookies and all these different treats that you can find that are actually lower carb, which is really, really cool because it's not going to spike your blood sugar quite as much. The thing about all of these different foods, though, is that they usually will take less carbs from the formula. And when they engineer these foods, they will add extra fat in place of the carbs. So these foods aren't necessarily going to be healthier, okay? What they do though is to lower the overall carbs. So they're still very high in calories. There's something you should eat sparingly, and of course not eating all the time, because if you do eat these all the time, your weight is going to go up quite a bit because you're overeating on calories, and we know that keeping a healthy weight is one of the best ways to make sure your blood sugar levels are in check long term. Another thing that you can do for yourself is to try out a CGM or a continuous glucose monitor. So this is a really cool piece of equipment that is basically attached to your body, your shoulder, and what it does is it, hence the term, continuous glucose monitor. It literally monitors your glucose levels all the time, 24/7, which is really, really neat because when you're trying out all these different foods, you may notice that for you, potato, we'll go back to the top example, doesn't actually spike your blood sugar quite that much. Just for whatever reason, your body doesn't do it. But an apple might actually spike your blood sugar a tremendous amount. So all of these glycemic index numbers are averages based off of a bunch of different studies, but everyone is their own individual species. I was listening to a podcast the other day where somebody told me, or when I was listening to it, they said that baby carrots spike their blood sugar almost as much as eating some ice cream. So those little individual differences make a huge, profound difference long term. And getting a continuous glucose monitor is a really, really good way to do that. I'm kind of on the fence. I really want to get one of these. Just haven't fully put that in the time to get it. But this is where you can really experiment with yourself, which I think is fun. Go ahead and give this video a like if it has provided you some value so far and giving you some good tools and tricks that you can use in your diet to keep your blood sugar levels in check.